Let me be quiet.
Yeah.
And he's like, and where are we getting at? He's like, here's what I can do. I didn't catch you racing. I only caught him speeding. He told me that you guys were street racing. So either both of you get in trouble for street racing right now, or I'll make you a deal. I'll give you the exact same speeding ticket I gave him, and you have yourself a good day. What do you choose?
Hot dog in the mouth, baby.
Real quick, I was like, give me a speeding ticket right now.
Yeah, speeding ticket right now, baby. Slap it on me, bro.
10
Put it
minutes.
on my forehead.
This motherfucker got caught 29 over the speed limit, $300 ticket.
Bro.
I was like,
tough, that's tough, bro. The other day,
depending on the state,
100 miles an hour. What is wrong with you?
2 weeks ago,
depending on the state, that's like some states that's an automatic. You know, you don't get to drive home.
Yeah,
dude, in Florida, from you. 30 and over is an immediate court date.
Yeah, mine is anything over 75.
In Virginia, it's 20. So in Virginia, if you get caught 20 over the speed limit, like they give you a ticket. Like that happened to me once. I got the ticket. I was like, "Yo, I don't see a price on this." He's like, "Yeah, you're not getting a price. You're going to court." I'm like, "For real?"
You're going to court, baby. Yeah. And anything over 75 is automatic reckless. They don't give a shit what you're doing.
I don't understand how both of you guys only have like one ticket. I got like two.
I have 0 tickets. Hey, don't group me in with this mug. Don't group me in with this mug. I have 0 tickets.
Well, hold on. I said one speeding. I literally was at a stoplight at one point, and imagine this. I'm at the front. I literally got a row of my buddies behind me. Like we're taking up both turning lanes for like 8 cars, right? And I'm like, I'm in the front, and I'm like, yo, watch this. In the Genesis, I'm like, drop it into first. Just straight in the entire like 4-lane intersection, just straight fucking sideways, killing that shit and keep going. Man, I didn't realize there was a fucking cop in the Artie's in the corner parked eating. Because I scanned. I was like, I don't see no cop. Let's go. This motherfucker was at Artie's eating. He dropped his shit. And then I realized I'm fucking booking it at this point. I'm a good half a mile away in a straight fucking line, right? And I'm like, I could easily lose this guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm in a purple car. I'm not gonna make it far.
It's not happening, bro.
Right? Like he could literally just put Bolo on a purple Genesis. I'm the only fucking one in Central Florida. I'm gonna be real with you. So I was like, you know what? It's probably going to be better if I stop, wait for the guy. Waited like a full 3-4 minutes for this man to eventually catch up while I'm just parked in the corner. Like,
just waiting for your handcuffs.
Just waiting. And then he comes by. He's like, get your license and registration now. You're getting a fucking ticket. I was like, okay. I already expected this. Why not? Dude, he only gave me a reckless driving and then let me go on about my day to go ride go-karts.
What an animal.
Like, and he legit, after he gave me a ticket, he's like, you have a nice fucking car. This car is beautiful. Stop driving like a fucking dickhead. Have a good night. And just
like that's the point. That's the point. I was at a stoplight with Mallory. The other day. My neighbors drive this like honkied ass Tacoma, right? They think they hot shit. It's fucking beat to shit. It's got huge dents in it. They pull up right next to me in the stoplight. They drop it in neutral. They start revving. Bro, you're a truck. I'm an all-wheel drive Audi. Like, bro, I'm gonna smoke your ass.
This is no competition.
No competition. This dude just takes off. I'm like, I look at Mallory. I say, babe, he don't want this smoke. I was like, he wants to race. She was like, oh, and she starts rolling her eyes. And I was like, bro, I gotta give it to him. He honked 3 times. I gotta give it to him. Drop that motherfucker, man. I'm going. He's going. We're going like 75 in a 35 right now, down like Main Street. Dude's like, actually, I'm quite impressed. Dude is keeping up.
No, some of those trucks are sleepers, bro. They're strong.
But you could tell from where I'm sitting, like from where I'm driving, it's like I'm just inching him slowly. So it's like he's not keeping up anytime soon.
He doesn't have the power band, true.
He doesn't. It's just not going to happen. But then I was like, you know what? I saw the red light in the distance. I was like, I'm going to stop here. I already know I was going to win. I was like, I'm going to stop here. So I slowed down, brought it back down to a 40, and then life was good. They took off. They blew past the red light. They blew past the red light.
Windu, you said you would have ran from the cops, which you didn't. I've I didn't quite
Oh, no,
run
I've
away
done it
from the
before.
cops. Yeah, I didn't quite. I hid from the cops before. Is what I did.
As a minority, it's
See,
a dangerous
I
game.
was about to say
It's a
that's
very,
different, but I've
very
done that.
dangerous game.
I did.
Yeah.
Look, yo, check this out. I set up my boy so decent once, but it like we kind of planned that shit, right? Like we're on Bluetooth call, right? And it's just like, yo, like my boy Caleb, he's in a Mazda Speed 3. I'm in my Genesis. We're literally going to a car show in downtown Orlando. It's like, yo, this car show starts in 20 minutes. It's gonna take us 40 to get there. We're gonna drop a gear and fucking disappear. We get on the interstate, fucking going 120. Next thing you know, woo, cop. But my boy Caleb was in the front. And then my boy Caleb was like, Joel, we're fucking leaving right now. This cop can't keep up with us. I was like, Caleb, that's easy for you to say. You drive a white Mazda. I'm in a fucking eggplant in the middle of the interstate. I can't escape. You can. So then legit, imagine. So I get in front of Caleb. We both start to pull over. The cop's pulling over with us. As soon as Caleb comes to a complete stop, I put it in first gear and booked it.
Gone.
And Caleb stayed.
Oh, for real?
He stayed because here's the thing. Like, actually, I was in front whenever the cop scanned, right? So I was the one that he scanned. So when he got pulled over, he's like, "Do you know how fast you were going?" You know, my boy's smart. I had no idea. I was following my friend, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, "I have no idea." He's like, "Your friend was going 120 miles an hour. You're lucky as shit. I didn't clock you. I clocked him. Tell your friend to slow the fuck down. You have a good day."
Oh, what a god. What an animal.
Oh, I literally was 5
right,
exits down at the exit. All right, go ahead.
Jesus.
Sorry. We can stay here telling stories all day.
Y'all have too much car stories, man. Yeah, by the way, we're live at the moment, so let's do a mic check. Check.
Hello, this is a test.
You can check anything you want.
Okay. All right.
Check one. I think we're good, man. We're good.
All right, yo, what's up? Welcome to episode 7 of Nest Talk. And this is your host, Theslykrow. And so this is the show where we talk about some of the big gaming headlines and what's trending in the gaming media. And as always, I'm here with my man, Agent Deli.
Hello. Thanks for having me back again. I really appreciate that, Krow.
Yeah, at this point, man, you're my co-host, and you're such a good panelist, so I have to make you my co-host.
Thank you.
And if you guys don't know, Deli is an ex-developer at Ubisoft, so he does know the in and outs of what goes down in the game development scene. And so I have my good friend here, WinduTheMace.
What up? Happy to be back. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. And we do have a special guest here, and so we do have the Grand Wizard himself, SloMoBackSlap.
Oh, here we go. Hey, what's up, man? Yo, what's up, Windu? What's up, Deli? Deli, it's good to see you again, man.
Bracking, baby.
It's good to be here. Sorry I couldn't make it last time. Like last time I was supposed to be on, and I mean this never happens in my area. Power goes out, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, I was actually live playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And I'm like, I'm getting right to the point, on Mass Effect 1 and Vermeer where you got to make those decisions with, a couple of characters and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm getting all into it, and then choom. And I'm just like, oh hell no, man. So I'm looking around like, okay, like this power's gonna turn back on. I'm sitting in my office.
We'll let it slide this time.
Yeah. Yeah, look back. I couldn't get the hamsters going, man. I couldn't get them running the wheel to get the power back on.
You need the backup hamsters, G.
But yeah, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be here, Krow. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you tuning in and wanting to be on the show. So I definitely appreciate that. And so the title of this episode is the E3 Casino Games. So actually, I wanted to make a segment. I've seen some of my friends in my other Discord server. They did make some bingo cards of what their E3 predictions are. So we decided to make our own E3 bingo cards. So we're gonna be discussing about our cards and doing some mock bingo. So we're gonna have a segment on that much later on. So we do have a lot of topics to go over, but I want to start with the PC topic. And so, as many of you know already, the RTX 3080 Ti, it did go on sale on June the 3rd. And so we do have some benchmarks here. So the benchmarks of this card is actually 10% more performance than 3080, but it's 5% less performance than the 3090. And for some reason, I'm not sure why Nvidia went with this approach. Like, they only decided to go with 12 gigs of GDDR6 memory, and like the price of the card is like so high for the specs on this card, which is ridiculous. And so we do have our article here from Digital Trends, and so he says that the article says that the RTX 3080 Ti went on sale and is sold out immediately.
Of course.
Yeah, go figure, right?
Per usual. Nvidia works for the scalpers.
Exactly. I mean, look, Krow, your question is why did they choose to do this? They did it for money. That's why they did it. There was something that showed there was some kind of sweepstakes or free giveaway thing. You know how like legally they have to divulge what the suggested MSRP is for the item that they're going to give someone for free or whatever. It's kind of like how we found out what the Xbox Series X price was going to be before it came out because of Taco Bell. But whatever this thing was, the 3080 Ti, yeah, right. It showed for $1,000. So somewhere in between where they made the deal for the sweepstakes and when they finally revealed the 3080 Ti, they decided to jump that price up $200, and we know why. It's not like it's going to sit on the shelf somewhere. Oh, $1,200. I'm not spending that money. And you go on eBay and it's like $2,600, $3,000. It's just like, you're going to get it if you can get it, especially if you're looking. So
if you want to genuinely defend the leather jacket, then I would definitely say that cutting down from 24 to 12 gigs of GDDR6X memory, which means that they can use the pool of memory they have for twice as many cards. Essentially, this is just a cut down 3090. So just imagine you lose, the 3090 is already sold out, and we have all this 3090 stock that we can't really make use of right now, right? And it's expensive to produce. Let's just take half that memory, take the cut down card. Because mind you, it's only like, I think it's only like 800 less CUDA cores or something like that, or maybe like 1,000 less CUDA cores, right? So it's like a 3% delta on standard cards and 5% delta on Founders editions. So you're looking at something along the lines of like, hey, we can make double the cards with the same amount of memory that we have, because we already have the 3090s. It's not like they don't already have the 3090s. They're shipping them out, right? They're giving them to people. They're doing sweepstakes and giveaways, and they're funding Riot Games is LCS, blah, blah, this and that. So it's like, why don't we just sell it for $1,200? Because some schmuck is going to buy it for $1,200. I think it's just criminally, I think it's criminal that they would undercut their own products, their pre-existing products. And I also think it's criminal that they priced it at $1,200 when for the 10% performance delta on top of the 3080, it's like an extra $600 or an extra $500. And mind you, this is just MSRP. Realistically, MSI already has cards on the 3080 Ti that are $1,700. So you're not getting a $1,200 card. You're getting a $1,700 card, which people are already paying $1,700 for a 3090 anyway. So why don't we just cut down the 3090 and make the same amount of money?
I think here's my theory on it. I think that give it a couple of months, we won't see any 3080s or 3070s like Founders, like the regular ones and the non-TIs. You won't see them getting more stock or restocks or drops anymore. If you look back at the 3070, I remember a lot of people being confused on why the 3070s memory was GDDR6 and not 6X. Yeah, and people were like, well, why is the 3080 and 3090 6X, but this is the 6? Well, I don't think they intended on be selling that one for that much longer anyway. Maybe they had excess memory they wanted to get rid of. They with the 3080, I had heard that the 3080 was basically failed 3090s that didn't meet spec. And so if that's supposed to be your flagship of this Ampere line, why is your flag? Are you relying on failed 3090s to stock the one card that people want the most, which is why the 3080 was so difficult to get in the first place? Now, when you're no longer relying on failed 3090s, you're just cutting the memory in half. Well, hey, now you can actually determine how much stock is available for that 3080 Ti. So I just feel like they, for whatever reason, they decided to have these 3070s and 3080s the way they did initially, and then now going forward, you're just going to see a lot of those TIs out there.
Yeah.
Right, and I think the 3090 was advertised as 8K gaming, but I think that's a myth, to be honest, because it's very hard to find an 8K monitor.
If you can afford an 8K monitor, you're not playing games. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man!
Right. So I think when it comes to the GRAM, like you're not using. I don't think many people were using like 24 gigs of GRAM, video RAM. So yeah.
You said you have a 3090, right? So like when you play games, do you run stuff like MSI Afterburner and see like how much VRAM you're actually using?
I mean, I'm looking at something along the lines of like max 6 gigs of VRAM. If I'm like, I will say that the Unreal Engine 5 demo maxes the 3090 to like a 98%, and at 4K it runs it at 35 FPS. The Unreal Engine demo is just absolute. It's built for future tech. It's not built for current gen tech, right?
Right.
Even at the 4K mark, I mean, running it at 35 frames a second consistently is, while it's very impressive that the 3090 is able to pull that off, but at 98% utilization, I mean, that's the only program or the only time outside of Unreal Engine itself that I would suggest that it actually gets a usage out of, gets its mileage out of. Any game that I play or any game that I'm using, like Cyberpunk or whatever, I only see maximum, everything cranked up, maybe 10 gigs of VRAM, and
that
so
makes sense.
The 3090 is definitely I don't want to call Jensen out for this, but I think that the leather jacket was too scared to make a Titan line, because the only differentiating thing between the Titan line, which is something that I previously bought, I have 2 of them, the Titan line and the gaming line, the GTX line, is that the driver support. So instead of making a Titan that alienates gamers from like the prosumer market, whatever, everybody just wants to buy a Titan to have the best, right? And then they would get upset that it doesn't play games. Well, that's kind of the point, right? The drivers don't support games. You can play games on the Titan, but the Titan XP I had played games as well as a 1080 Ti. So why would you pay $2,400 for 1080 Ti performance? And that's just solely because of the drivers. So Nvidia just decided that it was probably best just to make a really, really big card that has gaming developer driver or game ready drivers, and then you can get studio drivers. But
because now they have the game and studio separate for every available card now. So it's smart.
It's not the same as having dedicated Titan drivers. And that's just something that you're missing on the development side. The consumers and the gamers, they don't use those kinds of drivers. The extra codecs, the extra security stuff, that stuff that's built into the Titan is what a lot of it is what's cost that much money. But the 3090 costs $1,499, so $1,500, and it doesn't have those drivers. So why are you selling a Titan? Basically, why are you selling a cut down Titan for just no drivers?
For like content creation? Because like if I do a lot of video editing, and when I do my YouTube videos, DaVinci Resolve brings my card to its knees, like every single time. And if I want to render the video and not render the video, but while I'm editing the video, if I'm editing in 4K, I'll get a lot of crashes. I need to drop it down to 1080p when I'm done editing, then bring it up to 4K, because like my card just can't handle. I got a 3070, so I can wonder. Like I've actually seen a lot of like tech YouTubers saying, "Oh, well, the 3090 is just for content creation." because you got 24 gigs of VRAM. You got all that additional VRAM to kind of help you with stuff like using the Adobe Cloud Suite and all that other stuff that really is like really hard on hardware. Whereas for gaming, you don't really need it right now.
I just think that Jensen just wanted to target the prosumer market, but didn't want to specifically say, hey, by the way, if you're a prosumer, you're strictly locked to these tools and these codecs, these drivers. Whereas the current landscape, it's just like if you're making games, you're buying Teslas. If you're making games, you're buying the V100 or the big GDX machine, right? You're not necessarily buying the 3090. But I think that pricing it at that point is that the 3090 is a Titan. It's just lacks the drivers. So at this point, I was waiting. Is Jensen just going to release a Titan down the road? But instead, he ends up releasing this 3080 Ti, which again undercuts the 3090. So why not make the 3090 to the Titan, give it the driver support that I would want as a developer, and then give the 3080 Ti the prosumer, right? It's only $300 less. So, there's your content creation card right there, and you still get everything you need to, and you still get the 12 gigabytes, right? I mean, it's not like you guys are using 24.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Makes sense.
So you guys still get the cut down. They still get the majority of the return for the 3090 dies. And then they still can upsell the 3090 for actual developers as the Titan line, because we all know that the Titan name holds a certain brand standard. So I really don't understand why Jensen's doing this flip-flop where he's just using a pre-existing product and then undercutting it a couple years later. And he's been doing this these last couple years. I don't know what's going on with Nvidia. I really don't. But for my opinion, I think the 3080 Ti is a waste of silicon. It's a waste of time, and just save your money.
You think it could have potentially been the increased competition from AMD that made them kind of want to go away from the Titan and then kind of try to have that card be just to have, like, especially initially, have a 3090 that definitely would be superior to whatever AMD came out with RDNA 2, because before they finally released it, they didn't know what RDNA 2 was going to be for real. I mean, they knew that they probably Ampere would be better, but they didn't know how much better. And if you just look at the 3080, I think the 6900 XT outperforms it. So if they didn't have like a 3090, then they would kind of lose that brand that they have, that title of the best.
We're better.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's the same thing with Samsung and iPhone, right? Samsung iPhone came out with the iPhone 10, so the Samsung just instantly jumped from Samsung S10 to S20.
Right.
They were like, oh, the number's bigger, so we're better.
Right.
And it worked. It honestly, it works for a lot of consumers, right? So if you tell me a 6800, a 6900, right? XT or whatever. Nobody knows what XT even means, right? But if somebody tells you a 3080 or a 3090, everybody's gonna be like, yo, the 3090 is bigger and better than the 3080. So you're obviously gonna buy that one. Whereas I did think that Nvidia underestimated AMD because the 3080 Ti comes with 4 gigabytes less VRAM than the XT, the 6900 XT. And it's more expensive by like $60 or something like that. So if you were to just drop the names and just give the prices, I mean, it's a no-brainer. At this point, the only thing that AMD has been lacking these last 5 years has been driver support. But
very much so,
you had the AMD Fine Wine, which I guess was working for them for quite a bit of time, which we see now here. Their older cards are performing better and better and better over the years with continued driver support. But now they have DLSS, they have low latency, they have the matching, what's it called? The
NVIDIA coders?
The Intel SSD tech or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah. The Optimum SSD tech, where it takes a portion of your RAM and your hard drive and it turns it into an SSD. AMD has that solution as StoreMI. AMD StoreMI has that solution as well too. So at this point in time in 2021, going into 2022, AMD has an answer for everybody, for in each one of their competitors. So right now the 3080 Ti is not cutting it anymore, or the 3090 so far is not cutting it anymore. And I think that Nvidia was just much like Intel, just riding out the wave. Like AMD is not going to catch up. AMD is not going to catch up. And then now we're here, and AMD's got a lot of market share now. And it's like, well, we already have these products. Now we have to put them out. And so a part of the reason why I think the 3080 Ti is the way it is one, supply and stock, 2, demand, and then 3 on top of that. It's like, well, we already have this card plan. And the 6900 XT is really good. We got to put it out.
Yeah, AMD also has a lot of support from Sony and Microsoft too, because of course they're partners.
It's like a $6 billion contract, dude. Like AMD is not dropping that at any time soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, so actually I wanted to read a quote here from this article, and so it says here that at a time when countless users can't build their new PCs due to the unavailability of graphics cards, they were hoping that the RTX 3080 Ti might fix the problem to some extent. And the card does feature a light hash rate limiter, which just makes it less attractive to those interested in crypto mining. However, the GPU came and went in a flash, and is now listed out of stock in many online retailers. So, it's just this concept of like how the rich get richer, like this. It's crazy how people are like so ruthless when it comes to scalping, and like it's really hard to deal with the scalpers. But this article does make an interesting point that with the cryptocurrency thing, mining is kind of the problem of why these graphics cards are hard to find, but I don't think it's the whole problem, as scalpers are still a big deal, right? So so I'm not sure why at this time, I'm not sure why they're making like 2 different SKUs for Nvidia. They did actually make crypto mining only cards, and I feel like since we're in a semiconductor shortage, I'm not sure why they're going with that strategy right now. So
I think they wanted to keep, well, the PR response is that they wanted to keep GPUs for gamers, or gaming GPUs for gamers, right? At the end of the day, they don't really care. They're gonna get sold regardless. But having like I said, that driver support, putting that driver support in to nerf the hash limiter, or the hash limiter for gaming GPUs, so they can push another product, which is really just a cut down gaming GPU with better drivers that go for that, go for that one specific thing, that whole what's it called? That whole crypto mining
mining
processor.
The
Nvidia CMP.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just like, it's really just driver support, and then it's just a super cut down card. It takes up 1 PCIe lane. It's got 10 gigs, or it's got like 2 gigs or 3 gigs or 5 gigs or whatever it is. I think the highest tier is 10 gigs for the 50HX or whatever. But it's just like, bro, we're already getting 10 gigs on current GPU cards. So, like, at the end of the day, what are you actually selling us, Nvidia? Like, at this point, you're pulling a fast one on us, right? If you're just pulling drivers from one card to another card, like the only, an update overnight limited my 3090 from mining Ethereum. Overnight.
Wait, you had a driver update that limited your was it the hash rate?
Yeah, it's the hash rate limiter. It limited the 3080.
You could always just revert to an older update too, right?
Yeah, you can, but Nvidia is just going to push it right on through each and every single time, because the Nvidia GeForce experience is like really just on your ass now. It's kind of like the Adobe Cloud. If they see that you're running an old update, it's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people I've actually they try to get their drivers off the website, and they try to stay away from GeForce Experience. Although I like it, because I use GeForce Experience, use the shadow play to record content.
Yeah.
I think the business of scalping is way more dangerous than the business of crypto mining. I think them trying to focus on that is more of a marketing play, I think.
Yeah,
as far as being able to provide a different alternative for different consumers. You're going to be able to attract those, the individuals that just want to take advantage of the old drivers. You're still selling money to those as a company. You're still making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the one thing that they can't control, and I don't think they really care for, is the scalpers, all the bots out there and stuff.
Oh yeah, they don't care. I think they're like Nike, and they contribute to the scalping epidemic. You know what I mean? I really do. I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but like it is what it is. I think Nvidia and scalpers are in bed together, and
it's making their products more desirable.
It is, and mind you, their products aren't. There aren't different products. They're just cut down products from the same products they already have. They have the stock. They already have the stock available. I don't care what the out of stock symbol says. They have the stock available. They're just.
It's just when are they going to do?
They're just prioritizing this part for CMPs. They're prioritizing this part for the 3080 Ti's. This is the 3090s. It's like, are you guys really out of stock, or are you guys just slowly pushing out products and just slicing them up and just putting them to different markets? Like, hey, here you go, Windu. Here you go, SloMo. Here you go, Krow. These cards are for you. These cards are for you, tailored for you. But overnight, you get a driver update that that reduces the effective ability of your previous card, or the card that you literally just bought. There's 3070, your 3080, your 3090. So now you're sitting here like, are you guys actually selling me products, or are you guys, trying to just get in my wallet?
Yeah, and to be honest, I think nerfing the crypto mining aspect of it kind of makes the cards less desirable, because like I did actually look up how to mine Ethereum very recently, and I make like I calculate the profits, and like the passive profits I've made was this estimated to be about $100 roughly per month. So honestly, like it's a pretty decent passive income. And if you're like removing that from the card entirely, like I feel like that's kind of like it makes it less desirable for these customers who are purchasing it, who like just want to maybe not like people who are like into like the whole mining rig, making like seven plus cards in their mining rig. But something as like as a side thing you do, like just as a passive income, it'll be nice to do,
Good.
I mean, you can say what you say, but the 30HX is on sale for $720. So if you're buying basically a 3060 for $720. Who's buying a 3060 for $720? Just for mining, bro. If you're making $100 a month, that is 7 months. That's the majority of the year. And you also got to think about your electric bill. You got to think about running your computer on all the time. You got to think about the wear and tear that you have on your computer, right? I mean, at the end of the day, is $720 worth it? I mean,
you got to be mindful. A huge profit that like Nvidia and all these scalpers are going to get are from individuals that want to get into the crypto mining business because it's so lucrative. I got my 1080 Ti back in the day from a guy that literally lived 10 minutes away. He bought 3 1080 Ti's, brand new, tried to get into crypto mining, had no idea what he was doing, sold all his shit 3 months later. Everybody was buying 1080 Ti's for like $1,200 at this point, and he just sold it to me for $600. He's like, bro, get this shit out of my house. I didn't know what I was doing.
But
and there's a lot of people like that.
The 30HX is $720, right? It only comes with 6 gigs. So you're telling me you're basically buying a 3060 for $720. I don't even think the 3060 sells for $700. $720.
I mean, it's not a smart deal, but they're still going to make a ton of profit doing so.
That's what I'm saying. They're cutting down profits, or they're cutting down their current stock and just reselling it back to you over and over and over again. And mind you, the 30HX is the bottom of the line. It goes 30, 40, 50, and then 90. So you can imagine what the 90HX sells for. It probably sells for like $1,500 just to mine crypto. You're already buying a 3090. It's just what form are you buying a 3090 in?
All right, so
yeah, I think there's a lot of I know someone in particular who's told me, yeah, I'm absolutely scalping this shit now. I'm doing it. Like he got himself his 3080. He was like, I was good. I signed up for all the little notifications on Twitter, the Discords that drop you notifications when stuff is live. He just got into the mode of always looking. And then he just kept, hey, I got me a 6800 XT. I got me a 3090. I got PlayStations. And he was just like, I'm throwing them up on eBay and I'm selling them for sometimes double what I paid for them. And I'm like, hey, look, I mean, it's not me. I wouldn't do it. But then I'm like, hey, do you, man? Like I always tell people, never pay a dime over MSRP. Don't do it, because the more you do that, the more you contribute to where we are right now. If people stop buying it and people just refuse to buy from the scalpers, the prices they're sitting on inventory, like trying to run it, and it's not going. They're going to drop their prices until something's reasonable, or to the point there where they're just not going to find it useful to scalp this stuff anymore. But people can't help themselves. Like they spent all this money building a PC, and they got one piece missing, the most important piece, and that's their graphics card. And they're just like, after months and months of waiting.
Yes, I gotta spend $2K.
Yeah, they're gonna go ahead and spend that $2K on that card and
once every 5 years,
right? And pretend like they spent. Hey, I got one at retail. No, you didn't. You got one at eBay. That's what you did. But yeah, it's wild, and it's just gonna continue until something breaks, man.
I got mine from a guy in Washington D.C. He bought two, and he sold it to me for $50 above MSRP. So he sold mine for $17.50. I had to drive 5 hours. I had to drive 5 hours for it.
I was going to say a reason why I'm saying also that I just don't think they care. Like, let's use the PS5 example.
Yeah.
Whenever there was crazy scalping happening, you saw companies like Walmart, Amazon start adding preventative measures because they wanted, the fair consumers to be able to get the product, right?
Yeah.
I just don't see Nvidia taking as many steps. You feel me? They're like, you know what? We're just gonna keep it normal.
Like
what
Sony
happens.
Direct.
You make money.
Sony Direct had a randomizer line. I actually got my PlayStation 5 through Sony Direct on pure luck. And my brother,
it's a lottery basically. Yeah.
My brother got his through GameStop on a bundle, so he had to pay a little bit extra for it. He didn't pay MSRP; he paid the bundle price, which was like $7.99 or whatever.
I got mine through Kohl's.
Oh, nice.
Kohl's.
People still shop there?
That's fire.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like I got a notification. It was like Kohl's is selling PlayStations. This is like in November. Kohl's is selling PlayStations at midnight. I'm like, fuck out of here.
I'm going to Kohl's.
But hey, I checked the link, and it was like they were live. I think you guys may have remembered. This is like this whole controversy. People was pissed off at Kohl's the very next day because they made the big mistake of not like stopping it when they ran out of inventory, and so they ran out of inventory within 10 minutes. But for hours, people was just like, I got a PlayStation from Kohl's, like hours later. And then Kohl's had to start sending all these emails telling people, sorry, we don't have the inventory for what but keep the Kohl's cash we gave you, which was like $180 in Kohl's cash. So like whoever made that mistake probably lost their job after that, because clearly people was just taking that and buying Christmas gifts with it. But I got my PlayStation from Kohl's. I got my 3070 from Best Buy. I was just sitting in the doctor's office and looked at Twitter. RTX cards live on Best Buy. I just went for it and was able to get it, because Best Buy, I will give them credit. They put a lot of like 2-factor authentication things in there. Yeah. Like you gotta, as soon as you hit add card, they make you wait. And then you get in, and then they make you put in your phone number to get a text message, and then you can actually get the car. So it's like it's a smarter approach to it than like Walmart's just like go for it, or Target's just like hey,
Walmart just crashes.
Right. 1 second the website crashes, the next second they're all sold out. So
yeah, with Best Buy, they're definitely doing a good job with that. And I've also read an article where Best Buy for the newest PS5 supply, they they didn't offer the online anymore, so they offered like a ticketing system. So people who wanted a PS5, they had to like go through their ticketing system, and they had to present the ticket in person to actually get the PS5 at the physical store. So so that's a very good idea for like limiting the bots and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so back to the Nvidia topic here. So we actually do have another article here from Nvidia themselves, and they did report that the RTX titles are now supported in more than 130 games and applications. So the most notable recent game is Red Dead Redemption 2. This does come with DLSS 2.0 as well as with ray tracing. And also Doom Eternal was another recent one with DLSS and ray tracing. And we also have some upcoming games such as Icarus. Icarus is like a survival game. And also The Ascent, which is like an indie game coming up. It's a role-playing game. So it's definitely very good to see that the support is growing for the RTX titles, and looks like Nvidia has a good relationship with developers. And do you guys remember back in 2018 when the RTX 20 series first launched? Like there was barely any RTX titles, right? Like I think there's only like four or five.
Yeah, and DLSS was 1.0 did not look very good.
It was not very impressive.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about Nvidia supporting more and more RTX titles?
As they should.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how to put it. They should. They put out this stuff. They advertise DLSS and RTX. They need to support it. They need to support their brand. If that's their deal, if that's their thing, that they need to put it out. They need to
double down on it
for free. I don't care what anybody says. If I'm buying a $720 card, if I'm buying $14.99 for a card that comes with DLSS and RTX, then the games I play need to come with DLSS and RTX. I'm not paying any extra for a RTX version, and I'm sure as hell not going to pay any extra for a DLSS version.
Yeah, them helping developers develop better ray tracing games or have ray tracing in more games only benefits their product, because they marketed their product as first the only product on the market that had ray tracing, and now they marketed it as the superior product for ray tracing, which has been kind of proven through testing. For the most part, it outperforms RDNA 2. But if you're going to do all that, you gotta let the consumer feel like, well, I mean, this is worth it, because for a while people were just like, yeah, so what? You got ray tracing, but like, in what games am I playing this ray tracing in? If no one feels like the games that they're buying, brand new games coming out, or supporting it, then they're just like, so what's the purpose of getting your card if that's your crowning jewel feature isn't something that's widely employed throughout all the games that are coming out? So yeah, they're gonna have to do whatever they can to make sure that developers feel comfortable implementing it, that gamers feel like, especially with DLSS, that makes those games playable with ray tracing. Because you like try playing Cyberpunk with ray tracing and no DLSS and see how that feels.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah. Even with even with the best cards out, it's not going to be a good time at all. So Nvidia, they have to do this. They have to do whatever they can to make sure developers are comfortable with ray tracing, comfortable implementing it, and happy with their support.
Yeah, for sure. And DLSS definitely comes clutch, as you said, with some games. And yeah, with your frames per second is definitely, pretty good with your performance. And so, moving on here. So we do have a few, lots of game releases this Friday coming out on June the 10th. So we do have Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. This is a PS5 exclusive. And also, I believe the DLC, the intermission mission DLC, will also be a PS5 exclusive. But so it's like the paid DLC, so you don't need to pay for the Yuffie DLC if you wanted to get into that. And honestly, like I'm salty that this is gatekeeping the PS4 folk. Why is it that the DLC is only a PS5 exclusive? And I wonder if Sony got a special deal with Square Enix, with this being exclusive to PS5.
It's interesting because I kind of feel like this deal Sony made with Square Enix is kind of a holdover from older deals that they used to do. Because like Final Fantasy VII Remake was first announced at like 2015 E3. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
So like this is back when like I think it's a different kind of time exclusive, because if you look at recently now, a great example are the Bethesda games that are now technically owned by Xbox but are coming out on PlayStation first. Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, they're timed exclusives, and it seems like more recently Sony's doing more timed exclusives than just straight up this game is only going to be on PlayStation, probably because it costs more. But this is a holdover from a game that should have been out well before it finally came out, and then now it's in parts. So
yeah,
I think those parts really, that's still, it's a part of the contract. So intermission is part of the contract. So whatever time period it is, if it's like a super extended thing, like the way Cuphead and Ori were on Xbox, or if it's just straight up, it's never coming out on Xbox. Sorry. It is what it is. And I don't like the practice either, but I get it because it's business and you have competition. And if you're going to spend the money, and if the person who makes the game or the publisher who publishes the game feels the compensation is good enough, you're going to do things to make your product more attractive than your competition's product. This is something that for years, when Xbox would do nothing about this stuff and PlayStation would just be getting exclusive after exclusive, I'm just like, what are you guys just going to stand there, just keep getting punched in the face? You're not going to fight back at all. And now they're finally starting to do they get a little deals here and there too. And so like you have to do that to make your brand and your platform attractive to the consumer. If they feel like you never get anything exclusive on your side, and it's only good for multiplats, then I get those multiplats on the other platform too,
Yeah. I always say that Sony is in the business to make money and not to make games. And actually Ubisoft is the same way. There are actually a lot of companies who do the same thing, EA, whatever it may be. At the end of the day,
Definitely
just like you said, you just have to deal with it. The consumers, we have to take an L sometimes. It is what it is. I know that I had spoken to somebody on my Twitter that was not a fan of splitting up IPs. Like he was talking in the idea of like, so Sony bought Insomniac Games, got them to be a first party studio. So they obviously own
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive. And he was like, well, I think it's kind of BS that Sunset Overdrive would come out on the Xbox, and then if there were to be a sequel, Sunset Overdrive 2 would be on a PlayStation 5. And I told him, I was like, realistically, a Sunset Overdrive remaster would probably come out with
first,
with the bundle or whatever. With like how Miles Morales came out with the PS4 or the
Spider-Man
2018
remaster.
Spider-Man remastered, whatever.
Yeah.
It'd probably be something along the lines of that. And he was like, well, I just think it's kind of dumb that you split up IPs. I think if you were to make exclusive, you should make new IPs exclusive. And I just told him, I was like, well, technically, is it Insomniac's fault because they're the one that sold themselves? Because at any moment in time, Insomniac could have said no. They could have just said no. And they've said no for years, like literally decades, 2 decades. And then all of a sudden in 2021, they're like, yeah, we'll get bought. So.
Yeah, it's and I mean that's what Sony paid for in the price. Although I kind of feel like they got a major discount because Insomniac, I think, is probably one of the top developers out here right now. And they got them for $300 million, which I mean that probably was pocket change off of what they made off of Spider-Man in 2018. It was just like here's a couple of bucks. We got you now.
Mind you, he's buying Ted Price and his employees. He's not necessarily buying the building. He's just because that $300 million goes straight directly to Ted Price's pocket. So Ted Price is like, yeah, I'll sell all my employees for that much.
Yeah, but it's also the IP too. So that's entered into the price. Partly the reason why I say Bethesda is 7.5 billion is it's not just the people, it's the IP. You got Elder Scrolls, Fallout. You got Doom. You have everything Arcane is made, and then you got the technology they have, Tech, Orion, that middleware for streaming. You get all this other stuff with that.
You also get the parent company ZeniMax as well too.
Exactly.
Very, like Fruit Ninja, Farmville, that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah. So it's a lot that goes with that. And so it makes sense. And if you're gonna buy all that, I'm gonna make some money off the IP that I purchased. So Sunset Overdrive, let's get a remaster because it never showed up on our platform. Let's do that at some point, and let's get that sequel going. I mean, Drew Murray was the lead director for Sunset Overdrive when it came out on Xbox. He left Insomniac, went to the Initiative. Then very soon, like not too long after that, Insomniac gets purchased. And it was like maybe like a few months ago, he goes back to Insomniac. He's working on something soon. A lot of people feel like it's either Resistance, which it isn't, because apparently that guy. Yeah, Resistance guy. The Resistance 4 pitch got rejected by Sony. So it's not that.
Resistance 3 was a hot mess, but that's personal opinion.
But yeah, I mean, like,
still not a bad franchise. They could have done more with it if they wanted to.
Oh, it's a great franchise. I'm a huge fan, but Resistance 2 was some black magic. Like, Insomniac is at the top of their game right now, and they've only gotten better since they've become a first party studio.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the reasoning for them rejecting it, I can understand. Based off of what Colin Moriarty said, that they rejected it because there's too many post-apocalyptic games that they have in their wheelhouse.
There is a lot of competition right now.
Right. And so it's just not the right time for it, which is cool. I mean, it's not like a never, it's just a no right now, which is fine. But it's just like him going back there, it seems to me like it's gotta be something that he used to work on, that he feels passionate about. And he's always talked about Sunset Overdrive. If you look at his Twitter account, that dude is always talking about Sunset Overdrive for years. He has. So it's like, I think that's what he's working on. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Plus, it wasn't a terribly reviewed game either. It just didn't sell too well, because I do partially think it's because Insomniac at the time was new to Xbox, the platform, and I think that Insomniac has made a huge community base on the PlayStation platform. So when you hear Insomniac, you hear, wild, wacky guns like Ratchet and Clank, Resistance. So when you bring that, hey guys, we're Insomniac Games, and Xbox is like, oh, we have Bungie, we have Forza, like
Halo, Gears.
Who's Insomniac? What games have y'all made? And it's just like, we've made no games on the Xbox.
Yeah. It gave me a lot of Jet Set Radio vibes. With the rail grinding.
Oh yeah,
it was. I enjoyed it a lot. The humor was all off the hook. It was funny. It was great. It looked great. Played great. Just I think I agree. They were a new developer to the platform. Didn't have a built-in community there that would just automatically buy their games because of prior experiences. Like, oh, I played Jack and Daxter. Maybe you did, but but did they do Jack and? What did I say, Jack and Daxter? I'm sorry, Ratchet and Clank.
So you guys think let's say if they do Sunset Overdrive, just modern graphics, right? Do you think it'll just sell significantly better just because they have a better name as a studio now?
And the platform, because the platform's much bigger.
Yeah, I think the platform has I say we because I'm a PlayStation person. I have had an Xbox 360, but I just transitioned back over to PlayStation. I had a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, and then I transitioned full time into PlayStation 4, and then now on the PlayStation 5. So to me, we on the platform understand who Insomniac is. So when we hear the term Insomniac, we hear Ratchet and Clank, we hear Spider-Man. There's a very, very good track
record. It holds more weight.
with Insomniac on the PlayStation platform versus if you were to tell somebody on the Xbox platform, hey, Insomniac just came out with that, they're probably going to be like, those guys that made the Spider-Man games. And it's like, you know, the studio's been around for
The
25
game I
years.
never played.
Exactly.
Yeah, the studio's been around for 25 years, and Spider-Man 2018 is not on Xbox. So it's like you're just talking to somebody who has no idea of what Insomniac is capable of, or just what their games, the kind of aura that it exudes, you know, especially coming from the mascot gaming era of like Jak and Daxter, Spyro, Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. And then now, like, you look at current day Insomniac, they drop like 2 or 3 games for every game that Naughty Dog drops, which is, Naughty Dog's games do rate higher and are considered to be overall like a better game. But I think if you're Sony, you're looking at the money aspect of you're getting 3 not only high quality games but sell very well from Insomniac before Naughty Dog gives you 1. That's a value that you can't really get anywhere else. It's difficult to, you see a developer drop games quickly, but they never seem to really have very many differences from their previous games, or you would see like gamers say, oh, it was very repetitive, there's not much innovation going on, they don't review really well because they come out extremely buggy. You never hear these things about Insomniac. You never hear people saying, oh, well, that the Insomniac sucks, or they're a garbage developer. You know, all kinds of the derogatory things people say. It's always high quality, and it's like, oh, they got another game coming out? Really?
Yeah, it's fun. It reviews well, and at the same time, Ratchet and Clank is the 3rd best-selling IP on Sony's platform. You can't argue with that. Insomniac has pull on the PlayStation platform.
Absolutely, yeah. Krow, give me 1 second. My kids are like freaking out over here. I'll be right back.
All right, no worries. Yeah. All right, so back to the Final Fantasy VII Integrate topic.
Yeah.
So I did look at some of the trailers for this game. There was a trailer. The final trailer was released at I believe it was the beginning of May.
Yeah.
And the environments of this the update looks incredible. Like the lighting is very well done, and like looking at the city of Midgar, looking at the plates, there was a scene where the camera moved up and you saw the Midgar plates. Like, seeing the detail of those textures, this is really, really good. I think you guys on the PS5 will have a good time. And so, I'm just going to read one of the updates here. So it's going to feature improved textures, lighting, and background environments. And also players can choose 2 different modes. You have the graphics mode, which prioritizes 4K resolution. And you also have the performance mode, which is a 60 FPS mode. So I'm assuming, that resolution maybe be like around 1440p for the 60 FPS mode.
Checkerboard rendering, probably. I think it's a fantastic technology. Like you said, 1440p.
Yeah. And they also have plans. Square Enix also has plans to make the DualSense features of the PS5 compatible with this game, so it will have the haptic feedbacks for this game here, which is going to be pretty interesting to see. Which aspects of the haptics that they're going to use. Like, are they going to use everything, or is it just going to be some features? And
I think not taking advantage of those is a mistake, personally.
Yeah, I think it just heightens the immersion. It really is that good.
That controller is revolutionary. Like,
It's,
no
joke.
cap on it, bro.
No joke. I thought I was like, it's a gimmick, bro. I played Astro's Playroom, and I was like,
all right.
I was like, you know what? I might actually plat this game.
It makes me just want to buy one of the new controllers in a new color.
Yeah.
Just because the controller is that good, even if I only play a demo with it.
It grips better. It's bigger, and it doesn't make my hands sweat like the Xbox 360 controller. I don't even know what to say. It's just that good. And I literally I was a hater. I don't care what anybody says. Nah, man, that controller ain't gonna be that great. man, 3 minutes with it, I was like, yeah, this is it.
Is lit.
Yeah, definitely. So, we have some new information here. So, PS5 owners who do own the original Final Fantasy VII will be getting the free upgrade. But, if you guys recall, like Final Fantasy VII was actually one of the free games in March for the PS Plus owners. So actually, this version is not eligible for the free upgrade. So you have to pay for the original Final Fantasy VII to get the upgrade.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not too hurt by that.
Yeah.
Since you can't have your cake and eat it too. So true.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, it'd have been cool. I pay for PlayStation Plus, and you gave it out for free, so I should have got the game for free.
All the perks.
But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I got Control. I got the Control PS5 for free on PlayStation Plus. So
I was gonna say PlayStation
$16,
Plus PS5 has their own PS5 exclusive collection where you get games like Days Gone and stuff like that just for free because you own a PS5 and PS Plus. You can't get that on PS4.
Yeah, you get the PS4 you get the PS4 collection, and then on top of that, every month you get a PS5 exclusive game. Like last month, I got Destruction All Stars, which I haven't played yet, but it's cool. It's a PS5 exclusive game. It's a free game.
Want to play that sooner rather than later with the way that it's no, it's not hot, which is like it's like the player base like getting into a match because this is basically a multiplayer game might be a little bit difficult. I assume you guys are talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake being in the collection, or no, getting it through PS Plus, but then you don't get the free. Yeah. I feel like that might be a Square thing. Like Square would was like,
I feel like Squeenix.
We're not gonna lose money.
I feel like that's a Squeenix move. I genuinely feel it.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm really excited because I already bought the game, played through it twice on my PlayStation 4, on my old PlayStation 4, and tomorrow I can't wait to kind of like see it with the visual upgrades and everything and get into it. Although I don't plan on playing it for too long because Ratchet and Clank comes out the very next day, and I'm just going to play through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to get it installed, take lots of screenshots, post them on Twitter. You know the deal.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, you guys can stay tuned for Final Fantasy VII Integrate. It is coming this Friday, but you guys will probably juggle back and forth with the Ratchet and Clank game, which is the new hotness for Sony. That's coming out Friday. So we do also have the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection also coming out on Friday, June the 10th. So this does include Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and 2, as well as Gaiden 3, and it does also include all the DLC for this game. So I was a big Ninja Gaiden fan, and so what do you guys think about this remaster here?
I think it's super odd that you would have Sigma 1 and 2 packaged with Gaiden 3, because Sigma 1 and 2 are censored, and Gaiden 3 is not. I think it's odd. But as a fan, I can't imagine that it would be a better purchase, especially right now since we're kind of starving on character action games.
Okay, so Windu, were you a Ninja Gaiden fan?
Bro, I love Ninja Gaiden. Like, that was my jam back in the 360 days. Because I don't know, like I'm almost worried about it more than anything, because even though I enjoy playing an older game, part of me almost feels like, unless you're gonna make the game better and blow my mind, let my memories live the way they're living. You know what I mean? Bringing an older game into the current generation might low-key just remind me that Ninja Gaiden wasn't as good of a game as I thought.
That's a good point.
Sometimes that nostalgia.
Yeah, like low key, all the memories I had, I low key feel like if I play this, I'm like halfway through, like 10 minutes deep, I'm like, I don't remember it looking this bad. I don't remember like combat being this way. I remember like way more complexity and stuff. Like,
but if the game was good, if the game was originally good, wouldn't it just enhance the feel? Wouldn't it just be like, wow, I forgot how good this game is?
I would argue no, based off of the fact that we just talked about that a controller is mind-blowing and revolutionary. When you literally are in a new day and age that the tiniest little immersion blows your mind.
Yeah.
And then you go back to 10-year-old technology and stuff, and it's like, you know what? It was good for its time. Like, I'll be real with you. I'll play an old game and be like, this game was good for its time.
But isn't there an expectation that that's like, the Sigma 1 and 2 or the remasters, like that you're playing an Xbox 360 era game or a PlayStation 3 era game,
Yes, but the expectation always is going to be met with a comparison to modern times because people can't help it. You feel me? Just like buying a used car versus a new car. It's a used car, but you're still going to compare it to your cousin's brand new Audi. Example, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's still one of those things that
because it's new to you. It's new to you.
Yeah, but
like obviously the remasters may sneak in something. They have all the DLC, updated graphics, 60 FPS, whatever, blah, 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 this and that, all these quality of life updates. So that may be new to you. For me, I feel like if they even just put in, an updated control scheme, I'd be happier, honestly.
Yeah, and I think Windu has a point where it comes to like quality of life stuff. Like, people always compare. Like, I was talking to and Krow knows who I'm talking about, Sincere from Gold Chain Gamers. And Sincere had never played the Mass Effect trilogy. Never played a Mass Effect game.
Yeah, you've seen him. Yeah, I was talking about that.
Gets into the Legendary Edition, and he just can't. He can't get over the archaic, not really necessarily archaic, but the older game design of certain things. And he's comparing it to like Witcher 3, which is an amazing RPG. But Witcher, like CD Projekt Red borrowed a lot of things with like the dialogue wheel, dialogue trees, that kind of stuff. They borrowed that from BioWare. Like, BioWare really kind of pioneered a lot of that stuff. But it's interesting when someone plays a game that came out in 2007 in 2021. Doesn't matter how much changes you do to the visuals, how much like cleaning up of certain things. They even tried to improve the controls a lot, and still he felt like the controls suck. It's because it's old. It's not current anymore. No one does that anymore. It's not done this way anymore. And when people have an idea of what things are now, they can't go back to, well, not everyone, but some people just can't go back to how it used to be.
Yeah, I also agree with what Windu was saying. It's the same thing with Biomunit for me. I did talk about Biomunit on last episode. And like I think what it is that like we've been so spoiled with such good combat over the years. Like, you had like the Batman Arkham games from Rocksteady. You had the even Jedi Fallen Order was a pretty decent game in my opinion. Like, I think EA did such a good job with that. You also have like Sekiro. Sekiro had a really dope combat system. So, I do agree with, what he's saying. And I think, for Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, I think what would be best for this game if it came included in one of the subscription services. Like, you can put this in maybe like a EA Pass or, even Game Pass would be best for this game, I think.
I'm just very iffy on it, man. I feel like if I get this Ninja Gaiden collection, it's just going to make me love God of War even more.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. But being such a big fan back in the day, like, I didn't miss a single game. You feel me? I finished the game as much as possible. And you're like, you know what? Fuck it. My Xbox doesn't have the 3 red rings yet. Let's play it again.
Right.
So
you don't want it to tarnish it the the legacy of that game in your eyes, like
the mindset,
right.
the experience. I much rather just cross my fingers and be hopeful for a new Ninja Gaiden in the next 10 years than possibly tarnish an old mindset, an old memory that would get me to buy the new Ninja Gaiden. Whereas if I play this, I might be like, you know what? Come to think of it, Ninja Gaiden wasn't actually that great. When I compare,
who owns that IP now? Like who owns that IP?
I think Team Ninja.
They still own it?
I'm pretty
sure. It's under Team Ninja's website when you go to pre-order, so I would assume, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, but wouldn't the new Ninja Gaiden also carry that weight of possibly tarnishing the name of Ninja Gaiden?
True.
But
you're riding the same nostalgia wave as the
same nostalgia wave.
Yeah.
Under old structure versus the same nostalgia wave under new potential mechanics, new potential controller inputs on that on PlayStation, for example. There's a lot more potential / upside to the new Ninja Gaiden game, giving me rewards for buying it and giving me the nostalgic feel.
I can see a lot of other fans of that series saying the exact opposite. Don't change anything. I want it exactly the way it was back in the day. If you look at some of like the Halo community people, where you got people within the Halo community.
Purists.
Yeah, the purists, they don't even want sprint in the game. Don't you dare put sprint in my game. I want the game to play just like it did in Halo 2. Whereas you got other people who are just like, bruh, like modern shooters like are different now. Please, like don't make Halo Infinite this way. And so it's like there's always that within that games community. That tug of war. So like I can see you are kind of like the way I am with the Halo community, where Halo games, where I want Halo Infinite to evolve, because I feel like if it doesn't evolve, it's just going to die. Because only people who played are the Halo purists, and they are small community, and it's not enough for that to be like Xbox's chief #1 game of their platform. You need to have it to be the most played sold thing on your platform. You're not going to do that when like the generation of Fortnite gamers and Apex Legends and people playing Warzone, that's your target demographic. Like you can't do that with old school Halo. And so it's almost like you gotta evolve, and people just it's weird.
You know what kind of hits me sideways too? I personally kind of feel like it's also a bit of a, hey, let's kind of like we mentioned, let's do a cash grab on some old IP. Because where I'm $40 for 3-year-old games, I could go to a dying GameStop right now and get them each for $5.
Mm-hmm.
You could.
Yeah.
You feel me? And I'll just play it on an old console. And the main difference is that now I can do 1080p 60 or possible 4K 30, depending on the console system or whatever. Or if I'm on PC, I'll go even better. But I just think that if it's literally going to be the same game, but now you get to play in 4K. You know, it's actually going to be true 4K. The models are still the same as the original version based off of the FAQ, but the rendering is going to be in 4K, right? Like, so it's like, hey, I might get to experience a game in a level of quality that I didn't before. That might be a reason worth playing.
Well, they're not redoing any assets, so the quality is still going to stay the exact same.
That's what I'm saying. I'm playing a 4K game with low quality settings, basically.
Yeah. And at that point, it really is just: do you want a modernized version of Ninja Gaiden? Not even modern, an up-to-date version of Ninja Gaiden. It's still the same exact game. And I think that for the $40 price tag, it's like everybody knows what they're buying. You know, this isn't new.
It's true. Yeah.
Is it worth $40?
My brother said yeah. On just the announcement, he bought it, and he texted me instantly. He said, "Yo, the Master Collection's out," and I was like, "Dang, I might buy it."
Yeah, well, there is a fan base for it, but I think I would agree with Windu on this. It is kind of a cash grab, and so I think it would be best if this game came out on one of the subscription services, just to try it out. And so moving on here, so we're gonna be talking about the biggest game coming out soon for the PS5, and this is gonna be Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So we do have the review embargoes have been lifted, and so we do have the Metacritic scores, and it is sitting at a 89, which is really great for this game. And so I'm just gonna read a quote here from Game Informer. I really like how he phrased his review. So it says, whether you're playing it in 4K or at 60 FPS, Rift Apart is a visual dynamo that lights up the screen with cluttered sci-fi cityscapes, colorful aliens, and intricately detailed texturing. I had a smile on my face most of the way through Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's a great continuation of the series that is just a joy to play. It steals your eye with its stunning vistas, makes you care about the characters, and is loaded to hit the fan service. And Insomniac is clearly Insomniac had a blast working on this game. And so I really think this is Insomniac is just getting much better ever since Miles Morales came on the PS5. And I remember seeing the gameplay from the state of play, and this looked absolutely fantastic on my 4K TV. And people were saying this is compressed YouTube quality footage, so it could look even better than this. So so are you guys hyped for Ratchet and Clank, and why are you hyped for this game?
I think it's gonna be the best exclusive since Bloodborne. Don't at me.
You think so?
I think it's gonna be the best exclusive since Bloodborne. Yeah.
Best as far as actual performance and numbers,
performance,
or
quality,
just
numbers,
experience,
franchise experience. Everything. Just over the whole entire package, right? Because at the end of the day, the best exclusive is obviously it's subjective, right? But if you looked at something like The Last of Us 2 and you look at like the fan engagement and the package, a lot of people didn't make it past an hour and a half into the game, right? And to me, I respect while I also have my own opinions about the game, while I respect the game for a game that has transcended media, or at least interactive media, to the point where a video game made you so angry, so upset, made you feel some type of way that you hopped on the internet to harass somebody. Like, to me, that's modern video games, bro. Like, that's art. I don't care what anybody says. Like, movies do that to people. Yeah. Music do that to people. Games have never really in the media has traditionally done that to people. Passionate. But now it has, right? But to garner a negative consequence for that, it also has a lot of backlash. But I think the way I explain Rift Apart is the best exclusive since Bloodborne, is that it's new, it's fresh, it's wild, it's fun, it's cool. Everything about it, the experience is great for newcomers and returning fans. And I think that there's just something that, if it pleases everybody, it has a fairly good review score of it sitting at an 89, right? So if it pleases everybody, then why wouldn't it be one of the better exclusives, if not the best exclusive since X and Y video game, right? Because if you look at like God of War, it's like a really, really good exclusive. It's great for newcomers and returning fans. It may be better for returning fans than it is for newcomers. Last of Us 2, way better for returning fans than newcomers. It also has its own controversial stuff as well too. Miles Morales, people complain that game was too short, or this or that, or it's a DLC, or this and that. But if you look at the actual genuine exclusives, I think that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, with its reviews, is the only one that's really held up its standard, that says like, hey, this is a complete package. It's fun all the way around. It's positive all the way around. I haven't heard too many any bad things actually about the game at all, and I've been keeping up with the reviews all week.
Yeah, I actually have spoken to a couple of guys that work in games media. So they actually got to review the game, and both of them separately said, "Yeah, I think this is going to be my game of the year." And I'm like, "Wow, really?" Like, this is already in their minds. They're like, forget the rest of the year, whatever's coming out for the rest of the year. This is my game of the year right now. And I'm like, Damn. Yeah, like that's some high praise. It really got me kind of extra excited. I just finished playing through the previous game of the PlayStation 4 remake of the Ratchet and Clank of a few weeks ago, and just seeing the foundation of what Rift Apart is, you can really see the launching point of where they saw what they had already, which was very good, and just built off of it, and it made it grander. Some of the rail grinding, like that, there's one part where Rivet is rail grinding over this huge giant, and it's just like those moments just look so epic, and it just seems like Insomniac is they're just in their bag right now. Like they're really
they've been in their bag for years, bro. Like
yeah, but it's just like now it's just like, oh, we got Sony money, like we got first party Sony, so like the bank book is open. It's just like what you need. Here's a blank check. You figure out how much you need, and we got you. And it's just like now they're just on it. It's amazing. I love to see that growth in that, and people seeing a developer that I always thought was a quality developer that didn't really get the kind of recognition that the other developers get now is looked at as that top tier developer. A year ago, I made a video saying Insomniac is PlayStation's best developer. People were like, "Are you out of your mind? There's Sony Santa Monica. There's Naughty Dog. Are you stupid? Like, what's wrong with you?" And now I'm seeing all these people saying, "Well, Insomniac is, they might be like the best." Yeah, like, oh yeah, hey, maybe it's just me, but hey, I'm just like, I said this first, man. They're still in my bars, but like, but but it's like, regardless of that, I'm just glad they're getting the respect and recognition that they deserve. It's pretty awesome. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and I for me, I think that Insomniac is ahead of the curve of everybody else, and it's definitely great to see that it's getting lots of great praise for their latest game. And we also have devs on Twitter sharing their experiences working in Insomniac. And so we have a tweet here from Grant Parker, and he says that Ratchet PS5 is at an 89 average score. And I can't speak for anyone on the team but myself, but I didn't quench once at all. And so he was saying that he had 40-hour work weeks. He didn't quench at all. And if you think about the gaming industry, like, quench is seen everywhere in the industry. So if you take in this tweet here, like, what does this tell you about Insomniac's culture that they have going on there?
I think it speaks very highly of both Insomniac and PlayStation, because you got to think PlayStation is allowing this, right? PlayStation's not the guy that's down their throat and be like, "Hey man, this got to come out. It's got to come out." They're the ones that came out, marketed, and said launch window, right? Not a launch title.
PlayStation blank check.
And that's just something that I feel like, well, one, I think that there's a lot of faith, and also there's reputation between both the publisher and the game developer. Insomniac has a track record with Sony and PlayStation itself, but I do think that it speaks higher of Insomniac's culture not being able to crunch, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think anybody likes working 70 hours a week, and I worked 72 hours the week prior. So I mean, like, crunch is just, in my industry, crunch is just abysmal. And I've been crunching since, actually, this week was the first week I've had 2 consecutive days off since September.
When you were working at Ubisoft, it was pretty much the same?
It was pretty much the exact same, dude. Like, I was working 65 hours a week. Like, if I go back on my pay stubs, like, I'm averaging, at one point in time, there was an employee in the building that had 92 hours, 93 hours. We were in the break room, and people were like comparing hours, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I just hit 80," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm at 73. Like, I clocked in at 73 today," and they were like, and this dude he basically lost his mind. He's like, "Bro, I'm just trying to go home and hang out with my wife and kids. I'm here 85 hours a week. This is not funny anymore." And he's just like, we're all just sitting in the break room, and I have a photo of one of my coworkers asleep in the break room. You know, people were bringing sleeping bags and sleeping in their cars in the parking lot. It just was, we were not going home. And this kind of, it wasn't healthy, not at all, you know, but at the end of the day, we're expendable and it is what it is. But I think that just working a 40-hour week at Insomniac, that's just something that's very proud of, because there's a lot of industries that you just work your 40 and go home. Like, you never hear of an accountant crunching. So I mean,
unless it's like a particular week or something, like
yeah, I mean, I
audits
guess
or whatever.
taxes or something like that. But I mean, boo-hoo, they might work 50, you know. But if I'm working, because our launch window was in October, so all September I was working, like we were in crunch probably since August. So I was, if I, like I said, if I go back on my pay stubs, I mean, we were in there 65, 70 hours a week, you know.
But I mean, I think it kind of goes to that. I've had these arguments with people before where they always say, well, crunch is necessary. Like, if you want a high quality game, you gotta crunch. Like, it's not negotiable. And I think this is kind of like that shiny example of, hey, well, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart didn't have crunch, and that game reviewed well, and it's likely going to sell well. It's a major success. Yes, it is possible to make a game and not have to crunch and really like hinder the health mentally, physically, whatever, people's marriages, relationships broken, all kinds of stuff going on, all the stuff that you see people like Jason Schreier reporting on, and all the publishers all over the industry. Like, none of that stuff needs to be necessary. I think there is a old guard kind of, and this is my outside view and not being a developer, but it seems like there's like this old guard kind of mentality of like, well, this is the way we do things. And this is how we gotta do things.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of crunch. I like that hectic wildness. But when you go in, like, yeah, because you're at the end of the road. You know, it's like that sprint at the end. You know, I'm also a workaholic, so to me, it's like fun. But when you do
like
it
the
for
creativity aspect, like
and months and months,
so it's the difference between crunch and extreme crunch,
yeah,
where
extreme
it's just
crunch.
like CD Projekt Red crunching for over a year, kind of
for
stuff.
over a year. Yeah. So like with Ubisoft, it's like it'd be a different story if they told us, hey guys, we're going to go into crunch, like we're going to 14-hour days, we're going to a 996, which is 9 to 9, 6 days a week. You know, that's it. And then they go, okay, we're gonna be doing that for the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's fine. That's to me, like, I was like, I'm in it. I'm ready to go. Like, we're gonna just attack it, and we're all in there together, because there's a sort of camaraderie, that culture, in a company like that. You're like, let's get it all together. Let's get it done, right? But when you crunch from literally August to February, it's like, bro, at what point do I want to go home? You know, at one point, like, that's usually about the 3-week mark in, where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm actually not producing quality work because I haven't been sleeping. I haven't been home. I haven't eaten. I mean, the fact that I have to bring 2 lunches to work is depressing, because I'm there so long. It's like, at what point do you say, like, hey, working 60 hours a week is actually detracting from the quality of work?
Yeah.
Because people are, like I said, people are sleeping at work, people are sleeping in their car. Like, at what point does a company view crunch as like a detractor, like, ugh, or at least extended crunch? Like, you can healthily do crunch at the end of a cycle, or bug crushing 2 or 3 weeks before a game's launch. That's perfectly fine. To me, that's acceptable. A lot of developers find that acceptable. Maybe that's just because they're jaded, they're like broken down. That's like the old guard, like, we used to always do it this way. This is the rite of passage for game developers. But at what point is that too much? And to me, I think that's at the 3-week mark. Anything past 3 weeks is just way too much.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think if you have, a very good, if you have a very good scope of the game, and like if the execs are very in tune with what the developers are doing, and I think, as long as you have good project management, like that's and they're able to set very good deadlines, you can have like a healthy environment, like just like Insomniac has proven here. right? With the devs, reaching out on Twitter and saying how how such a fun environment it was working there, and they didn't have to crunch at all.
There really is a lot of faith, though, from a business perspective. That's a lot of faith. It's like, hey guys, you want to take an extra 6 months doing the game? No rush. Take an extra 6 months. But you imagine paying all the employees for an extra 6 months just for the game to be 1% better? You know?
Because that's an extra 50,000 per head. And if Insomniac's got a studio of 200, that's one hell of a check.
A lot of faith. Like we said, that's a blank check.
Yeah, it's a blank check.
But that's a big gamble from a business standpoint.
And, I think you made a great point about quality of work, because when you're tired, when you have lack of sleep, you're not at 100%. And I think there was actually a statistic that said that anything over 65 hours a week, like any work you do over that amount of hours is detrimental, is bad work. Yeah. Like that's more mistakes being made. That's more mistakes being made in code and just anything in the game. And then when you're bug testing, when your guys are crunching to make sure that the game is ready to go gold and be shipped, like that's more work that has to be done there to fix mistakes that were made when people were too tired to to do their best work. And it's a cycle. You're just making mistakes and then having to go back and fix the mistakes you make, which then increases the crunch. It just goes back and forth. It's just like, if you just tell people to go home, if you see someone like, how many hours you work this week? 70. All right, Craig, go home. Just go home, Craig. Yeah. And maybe Craig comes back tomorrow and Craig doesn't, have put a game breaking bug in the game that ends up, causing you a lot of grief later on. It makes sense.
Yeah. It just, like I said, you work a 9 to 9 and you get home. Let's say you have kids, you got to cook dinner, you got to shower, you got to do laundry. Let's say you take an hour, right? So you drive home, it's like 30 minutes, right? And then you take another 30 minutes to wind down because you're still in work mode, right? And then you got an hour to shower, eat, hang out with your significant other, play a video game, do whatever it is that you need to do. Watch a movie, Netflix episode of anime, whatever. And the next thing you know, that's, let's say you get home at 9, that's 9:30, 10 o'clock, eat, 10:30, 11 o'clock, one episode of anime, that's 11:30. It's already midnight, dude. You're not getting 8 hours of sleep. It's not happening. You've just decompressed at midnight.
Yeah, I definitely feel that it's very important to have your own personal time just to wind down, and that's definitely important as well. And so actually I wanted to touch on this next topic here, and I did hear a lot of debates on this. So we do have information that the new Gran Turismo Sport, the God of War Ragnarok, as well as Horizon Forbidden West will be cross-generation between PS4 and PS5. And so a lot of people have been saying that since Guerrilla Games and these other companies who are doing cross-generation games, they're saying that since they have to keep the PS4 in mind, these games will be held back by the PS4. And so I wanted to ask you, Deli, so what are your thoughts on, how are these games being held back if they do have to keep the PS4 in mind?
Well, I mean, developing, and I know this specifically in the PlayStation platform, when you develop for Sony says you have to develop for a PlayStation 4. It has to run on the base PlayStation 4, regardless if your game is multi-plat, whatever. The only time we're allowed to not do that is if we signify that this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's exclusive for PlayStation 5, and it will never show up anywhere else. That's the only time we're allowed to not develop for the PlayStation 4. And as you can see, there are not a lot of exclusives out at the moment. So every game is a multi-plat. Every game is cross-gen. So every game has already a base PS4 version in mind. There's not a PlayStation 5 version, or not a PlayStation 4 version. And for me, Gran Turismo is PlayStation's highest selling IP. it would be dumb of them to not take advantage of the current community, especially since Gran Turismo, I think Prologue and Sport, 2 of them came out on the PlayStation 4, and they ate them up too. I own Sport. I have it right here. I'm an avid fan. So to me, if it didn't come out on PlayStation 4, if I didn't get lucky enough to get a PlayStation 5, especially during the shortage, I think that it would be dumb of them to not develop a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 4 version. Also, on the flip side, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say they've always been very avid of specifically including the previous version. What was it, Gran Turismo 5? I want to say before Sport. Like they literally released it on PS3, not PS4. I had a PS4, and I was like, I can only play it. Like this is a PS3 game. They didn't even do PS4 at the time. Like I thought it was mind blowing, but they go out of their way to make sure that they tailor majorly to the existing audience as opposed to the few that only have the new console.
If you have 110 million users, that's not 110 million sales. But even if 10% of those, that's 10 million sales, bro. That's 11 million sales. Right. So why would you develop specifically for an audience that's less than 10 million?
I agree with everything that you both of you are saying. But what I find interesting is that they initially marketed this new Gran Turismo as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And it's like, it's in it, like people have been bringing it up because it's the whole PlayStation crowd that hates Jim Ryan with a passion, or just like, he lied to us. He's Jim lying Ryan, Jim Judas is scared Ryan, all this talk about Jim Ryan, and they screenshotted the parts of the trailers that show like PlayStation 5 exclusive for Gran Turismo, and so that's how it was marketed. And now to come to find out, like it almost seemed like they thought it was going to be a game that would be out, but like within a year, like a launch game for the PlayStation 5. But then now it's not coming out to maybe like 2022 at the earliest, and then there's a PlayStation 4 version. What do you guys think about people feeling betrayed or not feeling like they can trust Sony when they say a game is going to be on this platform versus that platform or whatever?
Well, with the rules that Sony has already established, anything that's possible on the PlayStation 5 isn't innately not possible on the PlayStation 4, or at least originally, right? I had tweeted out that, I'm happy to see that Horizon Forbidden West is on the PlayStation 4. If I find the tweet, I'll be able to read it real quick for you. I can't remember everything verbatim. But I'm happy. Sorry, it was about Sony Santa Monica. And I said, having to compromise during a pandemic about key aspects of game development like motion capture or voiceover work is excruciating for teams of this caliber, especially making it cross-gen to accommodate legacy hardware. I'd gladly wait just so Santa Monica can have weight off their shoulders. And my same sentiments reach out to Guerrilla Games as well too. And then I also added to the thread, I said, anyone who says that the legacy hardware is negatively impacting development, there is nothing that the sequel originally had planned that couldn't be executed on the PlayStation 4 and or the Pro. The reason why is because you don't want to separate the mass amounts of fans already on PlayStation 4. So ideally, because Sony demands us to develop for the PlayStation 4, Ragnarok always ran on the PlayStation 4, or Forbidden West always ran on the PlayStation 4. There was never a moment in time that it ran exclusively on the PlayStation 5 unless it was specified that it was only on PlayStation 5, which is why Rift Apart is only on PlayStation 5, because a lot of the development stuff that they wanted to do is exclusive to what the PlayStation 5 can do.
I have a question for you that would probably sway my opinion on this topic just based off of the answer.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, developing on the 2 individual platforms, like in my consumer view, has, like you said, it's usually not too different, even though it might take more work. In my eyes, it was like, okay, so maybe PlayStation 5 is going to be on high settings and PlayStation 4 will be on medium settings. As simplifying it down as possible, right? But would it be possible for them to take advantage, let's say, for example, that new PlayStation 5 controller's trigger capabilities on the PS5 while still having the exact same game be on PS4?
Yeah, God of War patched that in on the PlayStation 5. That is completely possible.
Did they? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Actually,
but like I said, the game originally ran on PlayStation 4, so there was never not a PlayStation 4 version. And while you say like, yeah, the PlayStation 5 runs on high and the PlayStation 4 runs on low, yes, but at the same time, the architectural difference is a little bit higher. So the difference between a PlayStation 4 version and porting that to PlayStation 5 is equivalent to about 45 days of work or 40 days of work. So about a month and a half in order to move all assets and change everything over to run that code base onto the stronger platform.
a full team doing it is what you're saying.
A full team doing it, which is a full team of that caliber would be around 200 employees.
Yeah, I do understand that perspective. Like we are, it is kind of similar to diminishing returns. I think we are seeing, like, in terms of graphical fidelity, we are seeing some diminishing returns in that aspect. But if you think about it, like, the PS4, it is 2013 hardware we're dealing with, and it is 2 teraflops of performance. Whereas the PS5, you have 9 teraflops of performance, and you also have the SSD. And Mark Cerny was very big on the SSD. Like, you're gonna have much bigger, expansive worlds, and also like with little to none, like it's gonna be like a seamless loading. When your characters traversing through the world. And I've seen some people debate about this, and I did hear that from a game perspective, like from a game design perspective, like they're saying that Alloy can't fly. I think they had originally planned that Aloy would be able to fly in the world. But because these games are being held back by the PS4, from a game design perspective, do you think certain things are being held back in that regard?
Well, I think game design on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 are two different pipelines. The PlayStation 4 runs the original game development design that we all know: hallways, elevators. Oh, you got to slow it down. You got to have a conversation. You got to black screen, cutscene, black screen, right? Recently, have we made transitions into newer game development pipelines that kind of mask that pipeline so that consumers don't see it? God of War, Uncharted 4, those games have been able to see that, like,
more movie-esque,
you're playing the loading screen. That's just us solving. That's just us having a problem and then coming up with a creative solution to do so. We're on the PlayStation 5 because there's very little to no, that's the phrase I'm trying to say. Little to no loading screens because the SSD and the assets are able to be loaded. And a lot of the reason why the levels load a lot faster is because the SSD is so fast that we don't have to duplicate assets over and over and over and over again. So on the PlayStation 4, in order to run properly, Ghost of Tsushima or Spider-Man, every single time you swing by a building and you see a mailbox, that mailbox is replicated on each block over and over and over again on the hard drive. On the hard drive, every single time. But on the PlayStation 5, you only have one mailbox asset. And every single time you swing by a mailbox and the game says, hey, there's a mailbox here, the SSD loads it up. So now games on the PlayStation 5 are much, much smaller. So if we look at like the size of Ratchet and Clank, the file size, let me see. The install for the file size is 33 gigabytes. That is very, very small compared to a game like Last of Us 2.
It's only 30
Last of
gigs?
Us 2 was it's only 33 gigs, 33.618. So 33, let's say 34. Let's round up to say 34.
Let's say 60 to 100 gigs on PlayStation 4 actually became kind of a norm.
It was normal. Okay. Yeah. And, Spider-Man Remaster was only 9 gigs more than that, at 33, at 41. So
Which
we're
is
getting
a great example.
So we're getting no, it's all good. We're getting under 50, which is on the triple layered Blu-ray disc that Sony has patent. So we're getting under 50 for size and compression, and that's just something that is just absolutely unheard of because Call of Duty is over 50 on several platforms. Just the base game alone with single player is over 50. But that's what I'm talking about. The game development pipeline, the game design pipeline is much different on the PlayStation 5 than it is on the PlayStation 4. So now, in these next couple of years, we're trying to unlearn all of the stuff that we have developed over the last decade on standard hard drive disks, and we're trying to apply it to solid states, which is why when you say that, like, oh, the PlayStation 4 version or the Xbox One X or the One is holding back the Series X or the PlayStation 5, it's like, not really, because if the original version exists on the PlayStation 4, then there was never not a moment that game development design pipeline would have ever changed. It always would have had hallways, this loading screens. It always would have had it masked in. Whereas on the PlayStation 5 with Rift Apart, it's like you pull a new Rift, you're constantly loading in the levels. There may be an extra frame here or there too between portals or whatever, but it's just a seamless transition constantly all the time. And that's just something that Insomniac was like, oh, we can do this now. Like, we don't have to make loading screens now. And, you know, and that's just something that with the PlayStation 5, like, that's the stuff that you're like, okay, this is PlayStation 5 exclusive. But do we technically need to have it? No, we don't. And then that's why you have Forbidden West being on PlayStation 4. Because there's nothing, to me, I don't see anything that Forbidden West couldn't do on PlayStation 4.
I was gonna say Spider-Man Remastered was the best example that you brought up. Like, taking advantage of PS5 features like the loading screens on the SSD,
and the
haptic feedback, ray tracing, everything. Like, it was so different that there were even different character models.
Yeah,
in a sense.
And you have because assets aren't duplicated, you have smaller game files, and you're able to load in 1 second from menu to gameplay, actual playing 1 second, sub 2 seconds, sub 5 seconds. You know,
and the fact that it was on PS4 and PS5 while still taking advantage of everything, I just don't see how being on both is a disadvantage with the current technology, personally.
It's not. To me, I don't think it's a disadvantage, because I think that's because we also have to play by Sony's rules. Sony demands that we support the PlayStation 4, right? So if we support the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5 version isn't gimped. There's no, oh man, the PlayStation 5 version is just a port. Like, the developers will faithfully make a PlayStation 5 version. Or what they're going to do is they're going to make a PlayStation 4 version faithfully, and then they're just going to have a better running version on the PlayStation 5. But like I said, back to my earlier point, there was never not a PlayStation 4 version. And if there isn't one, then that would mean that it would be a PlayStation 5 exclusive video game. And that is, at the end of the day, that's Sony's call and not ours.
Yeah, and I also wonder, how early these developers got the PS5 dev kits. And honestly, I think, Insomniac, the way they're going right now, like how they've just released Miles Morales, that looked really incredible on the PS5. I think, they may have gotten the dev kit earlier than before anyone else, So do you think, Insomniac may have gotten the PS5 dev kits earlier than these other companies, or?
I mean, technically now they're a first-party studio. I don't know when they were bought. I think they were bought prior to the launch of the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I think they were acquired early 2020.
February 10th, 2020. Sorry, in the fall of 2019. So yeah, right before the PlayStation 5's launch, a year before the PlayStation 5's launch. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like they might have gotten it sooner because they're a first-party studio, or at least they might have gotten the rough ones. But at the same time, back to my earlier point, they might have just developed a really, really good PlayStation 4 version, and then just took those 45 days, those 40 to 45 days, and ported it right on over to PS5, and then it just had it working.
And just made it even better.
Yeah, and just optimized it because, the the ray tracing 30 and the performance 60, and then within the week, I think they had or maybe within the month, let's say within the month because I can't remember, but they had a ray tracing 60.
Yeah, that was huge.
And man, that's just something that just came out, for free. Like there was no extra version. There's nothing crazy about it. It was just a patch that they installed.
Yeah, I remember playing Spider-Man, the Spider-Man remaster, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna try out the ray tracing mode at 30 frames per second. And this is me coming from a guy that plays on PC all the time. So for me, I'm playing in frame rates higher than 60 frames per second. 30 is like it's a little cringe, but okay, let me try. I could not get to the part where you arrest Kingpin before I already switched to performance mode. Mm-hmm. Like by the time you get into like the foyer area inside the Fisk building, I was like, I think I've had enough of ray tracing. I think I need that 60. And I never switched back after that. So when they came out with that ray tracing 60 mode, I was like, thank you. Even though it wasn't like full-on ray tracing with all the reflections and lighting that the quality mode was. I have no idea. I think maybe Digital Foundry may have really broke it down. There may have been shadows and a couple other things here and there. But the fact that you got those enhancements at 60 frames per second, pretty damn impressive.
I'll be honest with you, as somebody that has a 1080 Ti, being able to enjoy any form of ray tracing on a console is mind-blowing. You know what I mean? Because like for a 1080 Ti, I don't have a great ray tracing experience on games, to be real with you. I turned on ray tracing, I was like, ooh, 28 frames, yikes. So whenever I can see a console do 30 or 60 on ray tracing, and again, just newer technology, but I'll be real, even if it's at the 30 frames, I can't help. Like for example, Resident Evil, I can't help and be like, I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty damn good.
Impressed. Yeah. I mean, then there's the argument,
especially since I'm on my couch.
Yeah, then there's the argument that's just like, is your computer better than a $500 console? Because $499, you can't beat it. You genuinely can't. I don't care what anybody says.
As far as ray tracing goes, you really can't.
Ray tracing, 4K Blu-ray player.
I mean, like my
media player. Better, I mean, like, it's all subjective. But for the $499 price point, build me a computer that plays 4K movies.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Can't do it. Sorry, boss.
The argument's there.
Yeah, what you do have with PC, just the built-in that you can choose which settings you want. The freedom, you're still always going to have that freedom because the consoles are a closed environment. But to beat that, dynamic 4K, 60 frames per second, and the quality of those titles, which is why like a lot of guys that like who play on PC like me just are like, hey, thanks Jim Ryan for bringing your games over to PC. Let's keep it going. You guys started the Steam page. Let me follow that. I mean, I know people who bought Days Gone don't even care about Days Gone. They just want PlayStation to feel like, oh, people is buying this. Let's keep it going. Let's get God of War over here next. What about Bloodborne? That kind of stuff. So it's interesting. But yeah, absolutely to have a 1080 and not have ray tracing at all, and then seeing that it's pretty damn amazing. It's going to get better with AMD's FXR once that starts to get implemented, their version of DLSS, and so many more games will be able to do ray tracing and then still give you a quality frame rate as well. That's going to be pretty awesome.
And it just works out of the box. It just works. Like when you pop a game in, you're like, okay, 4K 30, but the 4K 30 works.
Sound like Todd Howard right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, Todd Howard has never stood up on stage and lied to us.
Right.
But I mean, like, that's the allure of having a console or a media machine. It's like, it just works, dude. It just, you pop in the game, it just works. There's no, you don't technically have to have a day one update. It runs the game perfectly fine.
Unless it's Outriders, then it's just like, it never works. If it's
But that's just something that, there's pros and cons to everything. As much as I love my computer, I really do. It's like 10 times more expensive than my console. But I think I have a lot of hours put into my console. The only game that I've put that many hours in is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I have like 2.2 thousand hours in that game, and I'm pretty positive that I have a lot more hours in my PlayStation 4 than I have just that Global Offensive.
Wow, 2,000 hours. Wow.
Yeah, I play that game a lot.
All right, so yeah, so we're gonna be moving on to our last topic here. So this is gonna be the E3, and so actually, the last couple of E3s, it has been very lackluster. But you still have a camp that is very dedicated to the E3 showcases, and they're calling it the Christmas of gaming. So it's a time of year where you hear surprise game announcements and game reveals. So let me ask you guys this: is E3 still important to you guys?
Of course.
I think so. I
Yeah,
think
I love
the
E3.
enthusiasm that we have been seeing this year was missing last year. Kind of proved it that it's necessary. But the ESA is so bad at doing E3 that maybe there needs to be like a replacement for it. Like we need something like E3, but just ran better.
Like new generation, something newer, like that feels fresh. I could see that, especially since everything's gone more digital live streaming format. You know what I mean? Like E3 felt more like a convention that got streamed, as opposed to maybe they should just actually have a new show to reveal all this stuff. Have it run like an actual video production, and just call it something else.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think they do have to make some changes soon. Because I think it was starting to get that way already. EA and Sony have pulled out from E3, so they don't really they do something around E3 time, but they don't do E3 anymore. And with the digital age the way it is, you could run your own show just around E3 and not necessarily really need E3, especially now they're doing like we didn't have it last year. It's all digital this year. You don't have people going to the show to play games and to meet, and they even got like an app now. I didn't sign up for it, but I know people who signed up to be E3 media like official media, so they have an app where they can sign up to do interviews with developers. All the stuff that you would have done face to face is now happening over like a Zoom call or something. So it's like it has to change somewhat, It's got to change a little bit because it's the way the format was before is a bit archaic. My homie B Money, that's on Brap, which is going live right now. I gotta get to that in a little bit. But my homie B Money has gone to E3 every year since like 2014.
Yeah.
And when some of the people pulled out, some of the publishers pulled out from E3, he just noticed it was weird that they didn't use that extra space that those companies weren't using anymore. It's just a blank open space that could have been used for like, hey, give more of that to this one publisher that's got everything in this little hidey hole in this little corner here. You could have gave them that extra space that wasn't being used. It's just nothing over there. That's just like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's bad project management, planning kind of stuff. Gaming media people's getting all their addresses, their names, all their personal information exposed, and it's just you're really not really giving yourself a good endorsement to continue doing this. I just feel like someone should take up the mantle.
I think Sony did it best. Yeah, I think Sony did it best because think of it like this: like you mentioned, it's super easy nowadays to just be like, you know what, we're just gonna host our own stuff. Like we'll just it's digital anyway, but I feel like companies like, for example, like Microsoft or even Nintendo even are either more reluctant or they just aren't as experienced in that field. Because Sony can literally be like, hey, not only are we a gaming powerhouse, but we also are one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. You need TV show production, movie production, say less. We already have teams for that in place. We don't have to go through hiring. We don't have to go through, hey, we got to assemble a team so we can do this one yearly. It's like, hey, you people that are working on the Spider-Man movie for me or the Venom movie, can y'all just take 2 weeks to do this? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. we'll give you a couple extra days towards your PTO.
Yeah. Paid overtime. Say less. You know what? This can be your side project. Show me what you can do. You might get a promotion. Who knows?
Yeah. Get some of those talented interns that got degrees towards this kind of stuff to go do it for free. And that might go towards you getting a full timer here. Yeah, like it's easy. It's easy work for them.
And I think they also like whenever they decided to drop out of E3, not only did they shock the market, but they almost showed to people that E3 in 2020 and forward wasn't necessary. So I do agree with you that E3 needs to evolve, but I think it's going to be like a hard hill to climb for them to evolve. Because again, when you consider all the different powerhouses, E3, the fact that it was a convention wasn't something that Sony, for example, would have been able to pull off a PlayStation convention and have it be to the same same level of success. But as far as streaming, production, videos, etc., it's like E3 now became the underdog. And that's why whenever Krow's asking is like, do you guys think E3 still matters? I'm like, not really, bro. Like low-key, the individual, like Square Enix could come out and drop their own video on their own website. I think it'll get more views than E3's video.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, if you're looking at just strictly the convention, E3, no, they need to catch up with the times. They need to do something. They need to gain the trust back of the vendors that they were selling to. But E3 now has become synonymous with like a brand name, like like Clorox. When I tell you what a Clorox wipe is, you know exactly what you're talking. You're thinking of a disinfectant wipe. So a lot of people, when you say E3, you think of like
it was like a stamp of approval, like it's good enough.
You think of like the 3 or 4 days that week of announcements. So you think, oh, E3 is important. Oh yeah, the announcements are still important, but the actual convention itself, I think that has been swept under the rug. It has been taken away by the tide, and I don't think people care too much about the actual convention anymore.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You guys think that Jeff Keighley's Summerfest might be an eventual replacement to that? I think that its implementation last year wasn't that great because it was spread out literally throughout the entire summer, and people were just annoyed with like these little breadcrumbs of drops of information. It's just like, well, that's it. That's all you got for today. Where people were just around this time of year used to seeing like some publishers 90-minute conference where they see everything that they're working on in the future as well as what's coming out this year. And then you would get like, instead of that, you would get like a reveal trailer that was like 2 minutes, and Jeff Keighley talking to the devs for like 15 minutes. And it's just like,
I feel like that was just a little bit too much milking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of Jeff. I like him as a presenter. I like him as a personality. But I do think, like, come on. The community's attention span is not that great, dude. You need to just A, condense it, or B, put it all into 1 week,
Yeah. All in 1 week would be great. I think I do know a lot of people said that to him online and social media, and he seems to like in promoting Summerfest this year talk about changes. So I guess we'll see if it's more condensed. I don't. Yeah, I hope so. Because I do like Jeff as well. I like the way he puts stuff on. I feel like the VGAs has been better every single year.
Yeah,
like
I agree. I'm a big fan of the VGAs.
Yeah, so he's definitely got the potential to get it done, and probably does a lot. Will eventually, if he could do an E3 replacement, I think he could do a better job than the ESA does. Yeah,
I agree.
All right.
I still think Summerfest is a great name. As far as replacements go, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because when you heard E3, you know what it is. What does E3 stand for?
Right. It's
the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Yeah.
But if it's not an expo anymore like that, like an actual in-person expo,
Mm-hmm.
So like
brand name.
but getting replaced with almost like a friendlier brand name in the terms of 2020 digital age and everything. When you hear Summerfest, it sounds good times. You don't even know what to expect.
It sounds cool. It doesn't sound specifically to games. It's not that nerd crowd anymore. Summerfest, you think, oh, concert, music, people partying, fun.
It's gonna be popping. This summer's gonna be lit. I don't disagree with you guys. I think if properly what's the word I'm looking for? If properly developed, properly planned, properly executed, it could easily become a replacement.
Yeah, I believe in Jeff.
Yeah, I think he can make it happen. He has the connections. He has the know-how. He's clearly a better project and business planner than some of the ESA's people who if you looked at some of the like articles that have come out about the inner workings of the ESA, good grief, it's pretty crazy over there. I mean, like they had the previous head was like some crazy dictator guy.
It's lawless over there.
Right. So like we don't hear any kind of stuff like that from Jeff and his camp. So I mean that's already a leg up there. I do hope just competition in any arena always breeds a better product to the people that are consuming it. So just the fact that he's doing this and continues to do it, I think that's just great overall.
All right, so it is getting a bit late here, but I just quickly want to do this this bingo segment. So I did tell Deli to make his bingo card, so I have my bingo card, and we also have Deli's bingo card.
Have one.
Yeah, Krow, I do have to run because I got Brap on right now, and Enrique is hitting my DMs like, where you at? So let me. I did enjoy this though. This is awesome. I love talking about gaming just with people who understand and know games and have the passion for it as I do. So we gotta do this again. But I do have to run.
Yo, I definitely appreciate your time, man. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna follow. If I don't follow you on Twitter, you're gonna get a follow from me really, really quickly. So boom. All right. You guys have a good one and take care, man.
Thanks for coming by.
Love.
All right, later, bro. Yeah, take care. All right, so I'm gonna switch my screen here. So we are gonna be doing the bingo. This is our E3 predictions.
Yeah, I want to get into this bingo thing because I saw Deli's dude. I saw Deli's bingo, and while you were away, I dissected everything, and I was like, I'm gonna wait till he gets back so I can talk to him about it.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I want to talk. I'll let Krow lead it.
Yeah, I didn't want to put in too obvious things like Call of Duty reveal, Battlefield 6. Like I don't know, I just felt like that was just pretty generic. Those felt like free spaces.
All right, so we have Deli's card here, and so starting off, we have the Perfect Dark announcement, and I believe the Perfect Dark was announced in a prior E3, like they showed like a CGI trailer. So hopefully they do show some gameplay in their conference. We also have a Splinter Cell announcement, a Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay, Siphon Filter announcement. I'm not sure what Siphon Filter is. What's Siphon Filter?
Siphon Filter is an old stealth action game. It's much akin to something like Splinter Cell. It was a PlayStation exclusive in the early 2000s.
Siphon games are crazy, bro.
Yeah, they're wild. But there was a Perfect Dark announcement in 2020. The Initiative is working on a new one, but we just got a teaser trailer. It was like a CGI. It wasn't an actual announcement. It just was like, hey, this exists, So I'm waiting for an actual Perfect Dark announcement. I would like to see Joanna come back. Another bingo card is Splinter Cell. I want to see an actual Splinter Cell. Blacklist was the last one. I think Blacklist came out in 2012 or 2013. So it's been at least a decade since the last faithful Splinter Cell.
I'll be honest. A Splinter Cell imagine a Splinter Cell that almost has a story that draws you in like a Resident Evil.
That would be insane. It's like they can reimagine it. It would be cool.
Right. It's like you're an ultra secret agent, and it's like I remember in the old school Splinter Cell, I was like, oh, I can't get caught. Like I've literally redone this mission 3 times because I get caught every single time.
Yeah. I feel like they can definitely do something. They can evolve the series, especially since it's been missing for an entire decade. And plus, the reason why I like these announcements is because Perfect Dark, Splinter Cell, Siphon Filter, all the competitors are gone. There's literally not a single stealth action game that exists on the market right now that's mainstream like these guys. Metal Gear is no longer being made. The last one came out in 2015. Kojima parted with Konami. Konami owns the IP. Perfect Dark got announced. Not announced, but teased last year. But prior to that, it's been when was the last Perfect Dark game? N64. You know, the last Perfect Dark came out in like 2005, or there was a remake in 2010. But so that also a decade. Siphon Filter came out in 2006, so over a decade. And Splinter Cell has been close to a decade now.
13, yeah.
Yeah. So the newest one would have been Metal Gear Solid 5, which has a lot of controversy behind it. So I would love to see, as a fan of stealth action genre, I would love to see these three come back. Then I have Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay. Specifically, I want to see a playable Zelda. I don't care for gameplay. I just want to see Zelda playable because she has short hair in this one, which is kind of game developer code for playable character. So I want to see if that is, because we hate coding.
But you like
hair.
didn't have to render it, so
yeah, we hate,
easier.
which is why Tomb Raider's hair is always like the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft's hair is always up, always up. Yeah, I have Persona 6, so that next Persona announcements, you know, big PlayStation IP, just it's huge right now. In these last couple of years, Persona 5 came out in 2016, so it's been at least 5 years since the last one. It's absolutely huge in the West, booming now. So it's a good time to capitalize. Just tease it, announce it. Hey, the next one's coming, whatever it may be.
Well, you know, Alice just dropped Persona Strikers, so you know, do you think maybe this will be delayed, like maybe like 2023 or something like that?
Persona Strikers wasn't developed by P Studio, I believe. I think it was developed by. I'm pretty positive it wasn't. I'm gonna double check myself.
No, it says Atlas, so it's like
Atlas.
Atlas.
Yeah, developers Atlas, Omega Force, and P Studio. So it's a shared development. It's not exclusively P Studio, which was something that was developed. P Studio was sectioned out in 2012 specifically for Persona games from Atlas.
I just think it's too soon, considering how milking these games have become a little bit more.
They already had the game. They already had the game engine built for P5, which was the majority of the reason why it took so long to develop P5, anyways. So if they already have the game engine built, then I don't see why 5 years wouldn't be a reasonable time frame to at least for an announcement.
I mean, the gap between 4 and 5 was what?
7 years.
8, 7, right?
7 years, I think. 2008 to 2015, 2016. Yeah, it's 8 years.
And just going based off of, like, for example, Gran Turismo. Again, 6, 7 years easy in between each franchise, not because that's what their limitations are, but I almost feel like they like doing that.
But P4 to P5 also has a generational leap, too, from PS2 to PS3. And, well, technically PS2 to PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was on PS4 also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, moving on.
We have a Ben Studio IP.
Studio IP. They're working on something new. I'm excited. They're also hiring.
So
I apply every couple
which
months.
games have they developed in the past? I'm not familiar with this company.
Ben Studio. Let me look it up completely so I can give you an actual accurate list. Ben Studio is producers of Siphon Filter, Resistance Retribution, Uncharted Golden Abyss, and then they did get Days Gone recently. But they are the guys from Siphon Filter. So if Sony doesn't release a new Siphon Filter, I would like to see what Ben Studio's new IP, because they actually did announce that they were actually working on a new IP. So I'm hoping that the Ben Studio announcement just comes out of nowhere, especially in the Sony conference. The next one is No More Heroes announcement. I want No More Heroes 3. I think it's cool. I'd like to see Travis back again. It's a hilarious game, rated M. It's got a lot of funny jokes, got a lot of quality content behind it. Good action, good combat, good story, great pacing, hilarious, just full of Japanese humor. I think it's great. Dead Static Drive. I've been following this Twitter developer for a while now, and I'm just waiting for his announcement. He's been working on it forever, for 6 years now, so I'm just hoping that it comes out sometime soon. Deus Ex 3. It's been almost a decade since the last Deus Ex, so yeah, a new one would be kind of nice.
Yeah, I think they made an announcement that Eidos Montreal, I think I'm pretty sure they will be releasing like a worldwide premiere for the newest Deus Ex game.
Yeah,
so I think it will be a Deus Ex game, or it could be a new IP.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Well,
about that.
Mankind Divided was released in 2016, so it's at least been 5 years now. And then prior to that, so yeah, it's been half a decade. My bad. Let me correct myself. It's been half a decade since Deus Ex, and like I said, I think it would be a great time for Deus Ex to come out because stealth action is non-existent at the moment. So
Yeah,
if they were to
true.
release a new one,
It's worth bringing back. Yeah,
it would be worth bringing back because what competitor? Why is Resident Evil so popular right now? What horror game is out right now? I just think it would. I just think it would be a smart move. I think it would be a smart move for Deus Ex to come back out, which is why I also think it's a smart move for Perfect Dark, Splinter Cell, Siphon Filter, any of that to come back, and specifically Siphon Filter is because that's a PlayStation exclusive. People know and love that from the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era.
Yeah,
it would just be perfect since Xbox owns the initiative, so Perfect Dark would be Xbox exclusive, and then Siphon Filter would be PlayStation's exclusive, especially since on the PlayStation 5 they're going for that whole retro, like, we're bringing back old school stuff.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of stealth action as well, and yeah, like I do hope for a Splinter Cell announcement, and as well as Deus Ex is pretty nice as well with the whole cyberpunk aesthetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely cool.
Naughty Dog IP, they're working on something. Just a tease would be enough, but a Naughty Dog IP, like I said, first party studio, it's kind of needed. BioShock announcement, dying for one. Oh my god, please come out with a BioShock. Fable announcement would be awesome, like an actual gameplay trailer or an actual just trailer in general, and not just like a teaser. And then of course Ubisoft's critically acclaimed Beyond Good and Evil. The second one would be great. I think it's been 15 years since the last one, and I know they've been working on it, but they haven't had anything concrete past an alpha that has been shown. So something that would be definitive would be nice. Hellblade 2. We know Team Ninja Theory is working on something crazy, so I would love to see Hellblade 2 at least come up on for Team Xbox. A gameplay trailer would have been nice, especially since they're pushing the boundaries of graphical fidelity. A Koji Pro IP. I know Kojima actually just recently started on something crazy, and he started working again. He started posting on Twitter. He started tweeting again, and Instagram. So he's clearly got his nose to the grindstone, elbow grease. So I would love to see something, especially since Death Stranding was created in 3 years. So I definitely think that it's completely possible that he has something to at least show in 2 years since Death Stranding has been out. And Death Stranding's trailer was made in 6 months. So, 2 years, that's a pretty generous time to at least announce something. And then, of course, a God of War Ragnarok trailer gameplay. I know it got delayed recently, but into 2021 or into 2022. But we're halfway through 2021, and God of War 2018 was announced, I think, 2 years prior to its release. So it's a good time. Even if it's at the end of 2022, that would still be at least a year and a half from now. So I think it'd be a great time to at least give us a little something. But that's my bingo card.
Yeah, I think for this bingo card, I think you would be lucky to get a roll. So
no, I'm not expecting to get anything off this bingo card, but I'm not gonna make a bingo card that's like cheap and free money, right? Battlefield 6 or originally I wanted Bad Company 3 on here.
Yeah, you have a lot of good you have a lot of bold picks. Like it's nothing like not something what a lot of people would expect, for a conference.
Like I said, I wanted Battlefield Bad Company 3, but I know that the announcement for 2042 just came out, so I took Bad Company 3 off that list because I know deep down it's not happening.
You know what I kind of hope for?
Yeah.
An Infamous game.
That would be kind of cool. Sucker Punch to come back for Infamous,
because they did redesign. Tsushima was amazing. You feel me?
It was really, really good. So
imagine
an Infamous pretty good bingo.
Right.
Or a Sly Cooper.
And Knack 3. I could totally see them
Please
doing.
kill me on Knack 3, but Well,
I'm just saying it was arguably too. It made them look too good to not do a third one.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, you gotta have
It
a
was like
kids
it
game.
wasn't for me.
Every console's gotta have a kids game.
Like it wasn't for
Family-friendly
me,
game.
but having like a PS5 version of Knack 3, I think would be like hit it out of the park.
Especially since it would be take advantage of the PlayStation controllers. It'd be pretty good. Pretty good. Anyways, that's my E3 bingo. Did you have any questions for me?
No. It's just I was just doing like a mock bingo to see if you would like win anything.
No, I'm not gonna win
think...
shit. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted, bro.
All right.
He said, "I'm not trying to win, but."
But that's what I personally would like to see.
All right, so we're gonna be going with my bingo card, and to be honest, like I did steal some ideas, so they're not completely like my ideas, but this is what I would like to see. So we have here Prince of Persia remake, Bayonetta 3, Avowed gameplay, and a Dino Crisis remake.
Bold,
And
but I like it.
I really liked, Dino Crisis back on the Dreamcast. It's just such a dope game. It's kind of like a Resident Evil meets meets dinosaurs.
Meets Turok.
Yeah,
I think Turok is more likely.
I honestly, at this point, I think a Turok remake would be more likely. Yeah.
All right, and we have a Mass Effect 5 gameplay. Last time they did show a trailer, so hopefully we do get to see some gameplay for that. Breath of the Wild 2
Andromeda 2?
No, they're gonna. No, I think they're done with the Andromeda, man. That was a spin-off, but now we're gonna see what the next installment in the franchise will be. So hopefully Mass Effect 5, it will be the A team working on it, from BioWare.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get the BioWare magic.
They do come clutch with this one. And so we have a Pragmata gameplay. I did like what they've shown in the last PlayStation State of Play. And so we have Deus Ex 3, RE Revelations 3. I did like RE Revelations 2 on the Switch.
Yeah.
So hopefully they do come out with a new one. Metroid Prime 4, fingers crossed.
It's never coming out, bro. Just give it up.
All right.
It's never coming out.
And I did hear that Ubisoft was actually working on 2 VR games. They are working on a Splinter Cell VR as well as Assassin's Creed VR. Hopefully they do come to different platforms. At the moment it's going to be an Oculus exclusive. So hopefully we do see the progress on their VR titles. It'd be pretty awesome to see their Splinter Cell VR in the showcase. And we have Starfield gameplay, Marvel Tactics. Marvel Tactics, actually there was a tease about this. So the 2K developer, they did tease about this. So they're the same guys who made the XCOM franchise.
Yeah.
So it looks like there will be a Marvel Tactics game coming out. And Jedi Fallen Order 2, hopefully there's an announcement for that. I really did like the first Jedi Fallen Order. We have a XCOM 3 announcement and a Rocksteady announcement.
Okay.
So, based on this card here, do you think I'm gonna win anything? Like, do you think I'm gonna get a column or like a diamond?
I think you'll get Pragmata gameplay, Breath of the Wild, and you'll probably get Avowed, but you won't get the Prince of Persia remake or Bayo 3. So
yeah, I'll be real with you. That left column was seeming kind of promising, but that Prince of Persia remake is a long shot.
Yeah, it's a long.
That's a long shot, bro.
I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, yeah. So it is getting pretty late here, and so we are going to be going with our outros. And so let's start with Agent Deli.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me back again, Krow. I really appreciate that. It's always nice to see you, Windu, and of course, be on the podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed their time here with me today and my opinions. My name is Agent Deli. Please follow me on Twitter or Twitch at Agent Deli, and you guys can interact with me there anytime.
All right, sounds good. And let's go with WinduTheMace.
What up? No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me here, man. Like, I really do enjoy all these conversations. I really kind of wish I had a bingo card to talk about Loki. But yeah, Loki.
Hey, yo, you sound salty.
No, Loki, just a little, because I'm like, yo, Loki, I would have thrown out there Quantic Dream as a possible announcement.
Yeah, I would have wanted. Hey, make your bingo card. I want to talk to you about it.
Like, but no, I appreciate being here again. I always do enjoy all these chats, regardless of how crazy they might get sometimes. I really do enjoy the company, the chats, and thank you for having me along. You can literally search WinduTheMace on anything and find me, Loki.
All right, cool. Yeah, and unfortunately, Joker Gamer couldn't be here today. Definitely miss him, but he had an emergency today. But it's definitely a great conversation as always. And if you guys do use Twitter, you can follow me at Theslykrow. And I do appreciate you guys tuning in live and you catching the show later. And I will be uploading this on Spotify as well, so you can catch this show on Friday on Spotify. And you can search me on Spotify. It's my name there will be SlyKrow, so you can look for me there. And yeah, it's definitely a great show, guys. And this is your boy Krow signing off, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.